The more difficult question, and one I haven't really seen talked about, is today, these natural gas, these basically when you look at LNG cargoes, they trade in dollars per MMBTU, just like the Henry Hub price in America does. And you're seeing Asia compete with Europe, trying to secure these LNG cargoes, and they're paying $40, $50, $55 per MMBTU, and some as high as 70 to secure cargoes for certain periods of time. When in the U.S., our nat gas price is $9. So you think about that differential. Our price just a year ago was, $4. And the reason we've gone from 4 to 9 is we're exporting every single MMBTU we can in LNG with our LNG export facilities that are open, trying to help Europe and to a lesser extent, China and Asia, ameliorate or at least titrate these pricing problems. But Julia, what that's doing is causing pain and harm to America's population, right? Our middle class and our poor are suffering because we're willing to help Europe and Asia. So the tougher question is, as the acuity of the problem increases this winter, if you're running the United States, do you want to help and export even more and cause more pain to your population? Or do you want to say, that's kind of their problem for pursuing a bad policy. We kind of have enough hydrocarbons here to help ourselves. What if we just internalize? And I realize that's not a globalist thing to say, but I think it's important to note that this is a real issue for the political elite, both on the Democrat and Republican side, as to whether or not they really want to continue to help Europe and Asia at the expense of the American population writ large, or do they figure out that they can kind of put in some green policy firewalls to future LNG exports and really internalize this without saying so, if you follow me?
That's a very difficult question. Where do you kind of lean on that?
What's that?
Where do you lean on that question?
I believe that our democracy is at a fundamentally important inflection point vis-a-vis kind of communism and call it the axis of the communist bad guys, where you want to talk about China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, asserting themselves in various different ways. So I kind of think the West needs to get together. And look, we have a superabundance of natural gas. We are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. We need to drill more, a lot more, in the South and in the Northeast, in the Marcellus. And we have basins that we could really drill out and put this gas in LNG cargoes and really help our allies around the world that are starved for these cargoes. So I come out on actually sacrificing America a little bit more to help our neighbors, but do it with a all-in policy to be helping these nations that are facing these real problems.
Yeah. Do you think I think that's a really important point. Do you think we are able to drill? Can they turn it on? Are they willing to make those sorts of investments? What are you kind of seeing in that space or hearing from folks in that space?
Well, it would take a major policy reversal, Julia. This current administration, the first thing they did is they killed the Keystone Pipeline, which would have piped heavy crude from our friend and neighbor, Canada, into our refineries to make refined products. I'm sure you saw Secretary of Energy's letters to Big Oil talking about the fact that we only have 50% of the average inventory level of refined products of diesel and jet fuel in our coffers in the Northeast that we normally have at this point in time. And so we made some bad policy mistakes on killing the Keystone Pipeline, which was super safe and getting heavy crude from our neighbor. And instead, what we've done is going to beg hat in hand for more crude from Iran. The deal we're trying to do for the JCPOA in Iran, if you knew the inputs of what we're willing to give up in concessions to the worst terrorists in the world that we have sanctioned right now, it would actually really upset you. And so we're going hat in hand to Iran. We're going hat in hand to Venezuela. We're going hat in hand to Saudi, who, are not really great friends of the US anymore. And we're asking them to pump more, which is just bad policy. So we should greenlight Keystone. We should allow interstate pipelines to be built. The administration says no more interstate, only intrastate pipelines are allowed to be built, not crossing lines. So we need to be able to cross lines. We need to be able to think more strategically about this. And then we should encourage and give every reason for everyone to believe that we are willing to spend another 20 to 30 years with proper refineries and proper pipelines to expand our energy infrastructure on the hydrocarbon side. Again, that would be a major policy reversal for the team that's in there right now.
Yeah. Gosh, just kind of begs the question, like, why haven't we, or why is it? I just don't understand. Like, it just seems like common sense when you outline it.
Yeah, I think you've seen in other areas of politics this kind of breakdown of common sense in favor of an ideological pursuit. And I understand the ideology here. It actually makes sense. It makes sense to me. We would all love to be running on free renewable energy for baseload power. The fact of the matter is, the science and the math says we can't get there for a very long time, for decades, and we need to be planning therefore for the next few decades.